Hi guys, Narbs here. Today I'm going to be talking about Coran and what he has been up to since the original games, because he's actually been pretty busy, and as an elf he's still very much alive, even if more than 100 years have passed since the originals and Baldur's Gate 3. A little while back I did a similar video on what Minsk had been up to, and I've linked that video down below. I'd like to say a big thank you to my newest patron, Brett. I really appreciate you signing up, and if anyone else is curious about the Patreon, then I've left the link down below. There will be spoilers in this video regarding some of the comic books set in the Forgotten Realms. Okay, let's go. Coran originally hails from the Forest of Tithir, which is located here. We actually get to go to the Forest of Tithir in Baldur's Gate 2 when we have to enter the city of Suldanesselar. Although Coran's early life was peaceful, he sought riches, power and respect, which he believed could be easily found in this city of Baldur's Gate. Whilst in the city he became a thief of some renown, only robbing from those that he deemed could spare the coin. Initially promising to only do it until he had enough money to start a business, he ended up loving the lifestyle. The adrenaline that came with every break-in followed shortly after by a hair-raising escape. Coran would often leave the city for some time if there was a significant amount of heat upon him, and when we come across him in the original games, it is because he recently had an affair with a woman called Brilbara, a sorceress and wife to a mage called Yago. Brilbara bore Coran's child, a daughter called Namara, and Coran, avoiding all responsibility, is then found in the Cloakwood, where we can assist him in killing a wyvern to bring its head to the governor of Beregost. Coran can accompany us on our quest, and when we reach the city we can also sort out his problems with Brilbara and his daughter, whereby the obviously disgruntled husband Yago has placed a curse on the child. After the events of Baldur's Gate 1, Safana, another companion, becomes Coran's lover, and this is explored somewhat more by Beamdog in Siege of Dragonspear, which I believe is sort of canon, as Minsk mentions Nera, one of the other Enhanced Edition companions, in an official canon comic book. Anyway, it's no surprise that they get together because they do flirt a fair amount in the original games, if you have them both in your party.
You've been dominating my thoughts recently, Safana. It's distracting my work.
In Siege of Dragonspear, Safana is angry to learn of Coran's involvement with another woman, whereby she then leaves him to join the Flaming Fist. However, they obviously rekindle their relationship relatively quickly, as during the events of Shadows of Arm, we can find them together in the Forest of Tithir. In true Coran style, he's unwittingly locked himself into a bizarre love triangle with a werewolf and Safana. Safana has teamed up with the werewolves by pretending to be kidnapped by them. Coran is unaware of this ploy and begs us to help to rescue her. In reality, Safana wants us to attempt a rescue so that she can kill us and claim the bounty on our head, but Lanfear, the leader of the werewolves, double-crosses Safana and kills her, having no interest in us and instead wanting Coran all to herself, with Coran unwittingly having slept with Lanfear, not realizing she was a werewolf. Dramatic indeed. Anyway, I'm not sure of the canon ending to this particular encounter, and there are a few ways it can go down in Baldur's Gate 2, but safe to say that Coran survived, and given that Safana is human, it is likely that she is definitely dead given the span of time. The next we hear of Coran is in the adventure Murder in Baldur's Gate, which is set in the year 1482 DR. That's about a decade before the events of Baldur's Gate 3. He is described as follows. The elf adventurer turned upstanding citizen known as Coran, formerly a bold fighter and thief, currently occupies himself as a merchant and an information broker, and is well known as an infamous celebrity at Patria revels. Coran relishes being in the know and playing the sardonic, world-wise observer. If you watched my last video on the politics of Baldur's Gate, then you'll know about the Parliament of Peers, which elects the dukes of the city. Coran is in this parliament and has been for a while, due to the amount of debt that the Patria families owed him. These debts and deferred favours continue to earn him invitations to many Patria feasts. The position that Coran is now in has changed him somewhat, and this is visible in the comic book series Legend of Baldur's Gate, which came out in 2014. Whilst at a Patria feast which Minsk and his party crash, Krydal, Coran's son, approaches him and says the following: "Nice job becoming one of the city's illustrious oppressors. Thanks for rejecting your principles at every turn. I'm sure Mum would be proud. Now, it isn't clear who Crydel's mother is, but we do know from the comic book Evil in Baldur's Gate, which came out several years after Legends in 2018, that she was murdered by an old associate of Crydel's called Burgust. Crydel is estranged from his father, and whilst Coran attends upper city parties and mingles with the elite of Baldur's Gate, Crydel has made it his life's goal to undermine and weaken the corrupt systems of the Gate, with his halfling friend Shandy, and during the events of Legends of Baldur's Gate, they joined up with the recently returned Minsc and the sorceress Delina. We can see reference to the fact that Coran did definitely travel with Minsc in the past, as they recognise each other and act like old friends at the Betrayer party, with Minsc saying, "Coran, my friend, it is good to see you. You look well fed," and Coran saying, "Minsc, how?" Coran's shock is obvious given the lifespan of humans, but at this stage he is unaware that Minsc was actually petrified in stone and only recently released. In Evil in Baldur's Gate, we can see that when Coran is confronted by Burgust, Burgust says the following: "Coran the Brave, Coran the Wyvern Hunter, Coran of Tithir, hero of Baldur's Gate," another significant reference to Coran's contribution during the Ballspawn crisis. Minsc saying "you look well fed" is a reference to the weight that Coran has put on since their adventuring days. We can see in Murder in Baldur's Gate the following: "Even though elves do not become obese, Coran's sumptuous lifestyle has produced what some would call pudginess, especially around his face." So Crydel thinks fairly negatively of his father, thinking of the elf as having effectively sold his soul. However, according to Murder in Baldur's Gate, Coran still craves excitement. So the lively socialite sponsors, manipulates and goads others into attempting incredible feats of burglary and infiltration, and into furthering the elf's age-old rivalries with other retired thieves. Coran makes and takes bets on the outcomes of lawless activities, and he covertly invests in goods that he knows will experience near-term shortages. The reason Coran doesn't participate in these daring robberies himself in the 15th century is because he is now too closely monitored by the Watch and the Flaming Fist, but it is also clear in Legends of Baldur's Gate that Coran is on good enough terms with Ulder Ravengard, the Marshal of the Flaming Fist and Grand Duke of the city, enough to trust him with looking into certain personal matters. At the Betrayer party, Crydel gives his father a letter, which he was tasked to give Coran by a man called the Fetcher, whose real name is Osgur Hallorn. Osgur Hallorn is part of the Guild, Baldur's Gate's criminal network, and he works out of the Undercellar, which you may also remember from the original Baldur's Gate game. Upon realising that this letter is blackmail, Coran goes to Ulder Ravengard to ask him for help. Ravengard promises to get one of the Fist's wizards to look into the matter, but the conversation is interrupted by Minsc and his party fighting a red dragon out in the city. By the time Ravengard and Coran arrive, the dragon is already defeated, and Ravengard is puzzled as to why the locals are talking about the beloved ranger. Coran offers to tell Ravengard about the events of the Betrayer party over a few pints, signifying a potential friendship between the elf and the Duke. In issue number 2 of Evil in Baldur's Gate, we can see a potential reconciliation between Coran and his son, when Coran ends up killing Burgust. He then tells Crydel that he did it for his mother. Crydel refers to Coran as dad, and the two share a brief moment where they aren't bickering. The issue ends with Ravengard asking Coran if he knows Crydel, and Coran responds by saying, "Not anymore, but someday I hope I will again." Will we see Coran in Baldur's Gate 3? Well, I'm fairly certain we will. He's a major reference to the original games and now a famous face of the city of Baldur's Gate. In Murder in Baldur's Gate, we can also see the following written about Coran. He befriends and shamelessly manipulates adventurers, which is not necessarily a bad thing for them, since Coran provides tremendous aid to friends who find themselves in trouble in Baldur's Gate. And I have no doubt that we will find ourselves in some form of trouble in Baldur's Gate 3. Okay, now for some bonus trivia. The voice actor for Coran in the original games was Brian George, who also voiced Belt and Ublek. But you may better recognise Brian George as Babu Bat in Seinfeld. Now, the portraits they used for Baldur's Gate were designed by an artist called Mike Sass. Mike based many of the portraits in the original game on employees of BioWare. Coran was based upon one of BioWare's co-founders, Greg Zeshuk. Anyway, thanks for watching guys. If you enjoyed this video then do please give me a like and subscribe, and I'll see you next time. Bye!